Ready? You didn't say action.
Oh. And scene.
Scene. Action.
Oh,
Hi everyone, I'm Jeff Miracola, fantasy artist and illustrator. I've left my studio today to come down to Chicago to join my friends in a painting jam. And I want to introduce you to these professional, amazing illustrators right now. This amazing specimen right here, in the wild, in his natural environment, is Chris Seaman. Come, join me over here. This handsome devil right here, Tyler Walpole. Tyler, meet the folks.
Hello, folks.
Jim's not gonna put up with my shit, so. This very scary individual over here is, as Siri would say, Jim Pavelec. Wanna say hi, Jim?
What the fuck are you looking at?
And this guy right here is Aaron Miller. Aaron, say hi to the people.
hey, people.
Oh, did I disturb you?
No. I can fix this later. I did not see you there. But welcome. Always welcome.
So what you working on?
I'm working on, as Tyler had mentioned, going back in time and painting an original for something that already exists.
So explain this to the people because this is interesting.
So I started a painting for a Magic card.
Okay, a Magic the Gathering card.
Magic the Gathering.
Because there are people out there that he does magic.
Oh yeah, like tricks,
pull it right
quarters.
out your hat,
And I got about halfway through, and I needed to finish it and make a bunch of major changes. Paint takes a long time to dry. I needed the changes faster than the paint could dry for the changes I needed to make. And so I shot the painting as I would a finished painting, and I brought it into Photoshop and finished painting it digital. And now that it's out and I have a little bit of spare time, I'm going back and finishing the painting as close to the finished digital as I can.
And so what medium are you working in here?
This is oil.
Oil paints.
Oil paint.
And it looks just like Tyler, you're working on Masonite?
Yes, this is Masonite, and a similar technique to Tyler of getting your drawing on the board a little faster. So the drawing was printed on paper, and then the paper is mounted to the Masonite with matte medium. And so that's another illustration way of speeding up the process.
So you're essentially gluing down the paper, the sketch,
Right,
to the board.
right,
Yeah, and sealing that and working over the top of it.
right.
Okay.
At times that gives you the opportunity to keep your original drawing if it's something that you want to save. It's not necessary to do this, but it is a time saver if you've got a drawing.
You're using oil paints and you're thinning it with anything?
I'm just using liquid.
Liquid.
Liquid is another form of a medium that helps the paint dry faster. Usually overnight, if you're working from morning till evening, you'll find that you might even have some dry areas that evening.
Okay.
So I had painted all of this yesterday. So, and it's all, yeah, I can keep painting on it. It's not 100% dry, but it's dry enough to keep working on it. You know, it's not coming off on my fingers.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing with us.
Always welcome.
so what medium are you working in here?
I'm working in acrylic.
Okay. And are you just using straight acrylic and water, or are you adding anything to it?
Just acrylic and water.
And what's that surface that you're working on?
I'm working on 100 crescent cold press illustration board
Okay.
that I've prepped with clear gesso and then sanded it down to have a smooth finish so I can paint over top of that.
So you got your drawing that was on the board, and you did the clear gesso over that drawing?
Yeah.
But did you seal the drawing first?
I used Krylon workable fixative, sealed my drawing, and then did 3 coats of the clear gesso.
Okay.
And then sanded that down.
You created a middle tone value here of purple.
Yeah, that's Higgins ink, purple, that I watered down a little bit so it wasn't so punchy.
Okay.
And I used a nice big watercolor brush and just did a pass and let it dry. I let it dry when I let it dry I lay it flat.
Okay.
So it doesn't drip. And let it. Sometimes I'll hit it with a hair dryer.
All right.
Speed up the process.
Yeah, because I often put down my middle tone value as brown, and people are always asking me like, why brown? And I tell them sometimes I do purple.
Yeah. Well, I wanted this project that I'm working on is a personal project. It's going to take me a while. This is actually the first in a series of about 40 illustrations for a book I'm working on. But I wanted to figure out a process that I could be consistent with every illustration. So I thought that purples for me with the pencil drawing I did in sienna colored pencil, burnt sienna colored pencil, and then I thought that it would be a nice, I could keep it consistent and push and pull the warm and cool as I go in with the acrylic paint. So
Right.
each illustration will have a consistency throughout the book as I move forward. So,
And this is just a gradual building up of color, right?
yeah, I'm kind of watering down my acrylics and lay them in washes first, and then I kind of gradually build up to opaques in the dark areas and the white areas, the lighter areas.
Do you do any mixed media at all on top of this? Like, will you go back into this at all with colored pencil, or is it straight paint and that's that?
Yeah, straight paint. Yep. Yeah, I use, this is a liner, a zero liner.
Okay.
So if any of the line work that I do, whether I want to push and pull the space back and forward, I'll use the liner brush to kind of tighten up edges and stuff rather than a colored pencil. I like that because the colored pencil has a tendency to splinter, and as you continue to use it, you have to continually sharpen it if you want a tight edge. So I'd just rather use the paint brush.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
So what you're working on?
I am working on a painting for a science fiction property that rhymes with Mars Moors. It's a cover for a Star Wars game.
Oh, you said the words.
I said the words.
I'm gonna get sued.
Disney sweethearts. They don't care.
And so what medium are you working in?
I am working in oils, which is kind of a new thing for me. This is my second oil painting, like ever. So,
Which is a bit like depressing for the rest of us. It's a pretty damn cool painting. My second painting.
Thanks.
My second painting didn't look anywhere near this.
Well, I've been working digitally for 12 years or so.
Yeah, but that's not supposed to work that way. You're not supposed to go from digital to traditional and be good.
Apparently, some of the skills translate over. Yeah, all the color works the same, and shapes and forms and composition all works the same. So
That's cool.
I was really nervous when I started my first one, and I was delighted to find out, like, oh, I'm not entirely incompetent at this. Just standard incompetent.
Standard, yes.
And so you're using oils, and what are you thinning them with?
I'm using a mix of refined linseed oil, equal parts that, and Gamsol, which is like mineral spirits,
Yeah.
and a little bit of cobalt dryer thrown in to speed up the drying process, so I can work on it every day without having to wait forever for things to dry.
Yeah, that cobalt dryer is pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, I actually put too much in this mix, and it's making things get tacky really fast.
Yeah, that's the
So-
thing I never liked about it. If I put too much, it got so tacky too fast.
Yeah, so it's a learning process. That's one of the mistakes I made on this one, but I don't want to change the mix because then it'll be inconsistent throughout the painting. So I'll just stick with it, and then next time I make some, I'll use a little less.
Okay. And what's the surface that you're painting on here?
It's Masonite, which you can just get at any hardware store, Lowe's or Home Depot, and you can have them cut it down to size. And then I gessoed it. And to transfer my drawing to the surface, I actually made that digitally, and then I took it to a local printer and had them print my underpainting on it. So it saved me a couple of days of transferring the drawing and doing the underpainting.
So you did it differently. You took the Masonite, the already gessoed Masonite, to the printer.
Yep.
And had them print directly onto that,
Directly on the board.
which I'd never heard of before.
Yeah, it was another illustrator recommended it to me, Sam Flegel.
Dave Dorman does it too.
Really?
Yeah, he just and you can have it done on illustration board as well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the place I went, they basically could print on any surface as long as it was white.
Okay.
So, and then I sealed that with a little matte medium acrylic, and then next day I just jumped in with oils.
Very cool. And you're working on your palette here is made out of a sheet of glass. Why is that? Tell the folks why you have a palette made of glass.
Aaron Miller told me to. Yeah, I was using some disposable. You can buy the disposable disposable palette
Right.
pads. Yeah, and I just wanted something a little more permanent, so I could just let it sit overnight and not worry about it. And they're really easy to clean. Is the thing that I'm finding is what I like about it the best. So you just take a scraper that you can buy at any hardware store, and you just lay it down and just scrape off any dried paint, and it's ready to go.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, all those little secrets, industry secrets with us.
Yeah. I Googled all of them. Except for the palette. That was from Aaron Miller,
Okay, thank you, Aaron.
professional illustrator. Professional artist.
So what you working on, man?
This is a painting of Dagon, which is one of H.P. Lovecraft's creature characters that I just finished up while Jeff was here for our little weekend painting jam.
Very cool. What's the surface that you're painting on here?
What I've been doing lately is I'll go to a consignment shop and I will buy framed pieces of, artwork that's already existing. So this was actually a painting of a vase and some flowers. You can see it's a thin panel. It has canvas paper that they adhered to the top of it. It was a really awful painting of some flowers. So I'll sand down a little bit if it's really thick paint. Well, this one was actually a print, so yeah, there was no paint on the surface. So I just laid a little gesso on top, some thinned out gesso, and I just let some of the shapes that are already there start to inform what I'm drawing. And in the early stages, I use all kinds of medium, graphite, colored pencils, markers, all kinds of stuff, just to start to build up forms and shapes. And then when I start, I have no idea what I'm trying to achieve. You know, I don't know if it's going to be a landscape or a creature or what, but the forms start to come out and I start to see things and I just build up the lights and darks.
So this has a lot of texture in the painting. So that's the canvas texture that's coming through plus...
Yeah, that's the canvas, you know, that was originally there for whatever was originally on that surface.
I watched you applying the paint too, and you applied like the paint many times in a very like dry fashion, like not a whole lot added to the paint, it seemed.
Yeah, I like to do, you know, warms on top of cools and come back on top of that. So I'll just keep going over areas with different color temperatures. So there's this vibrancy of color, you know, that will make it pop.
Right. And now your palette down here too is similar to what the other guys work on. They have palettes made of glass, but you got like a Formica.
Yeah, this is a scrap of Formica I found at Home Depot in the scrap bin for free. So it's a free palette and it works really well. It's kind of messy right now. I was in the middle of cleaning it, but yeah, it works great and it's pretty large, but when it's served its purpose, I'll just throw it out because it was free. It's no big deal.
So you do the same kind of deal though. You scrape the paint off.
Yeah, I'll scrape all this off and get some paint thinner out and, you know, get all the wet stuff off and just keep using it and using it.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
My name is Tony Moy. I've been a professional artist for the past 3 years. I've worked on projects mostly within the comic book industry, ranging from Dungeons and Dragons to the X-Files. I work in a variety of mediums, but over the past few years I've concentrated mostly on watercolor and gouache. When I pencil and prepare my renders for watercolor, I've noticed that it's changed a lot over the past few years. I no longer get as detailed as I normally do on, let's say, a traditional comic piece where I need to translate to an inker that these are exactly the lines that I want to sort of maintain the creative fidelity. When I approach pencils for watercolors, I realize that the same issues I'm trying to solve and the same questions I'm trying to answer with a pencil, I actually redo again with colors and a paintbrush. So now my pencils focus primarily on identifying the layout, the proportions, areas of detail, and then I focus on getting the shapes of the light and the shapes of the shadows, and then I'm ready to dive in with the colors and brushes. Well, here I'm starting to work on a commission piece of the Hulk from the Planet Hulk storyline, which is going to be pretty cool because you get to draw the Hulk in full battle armor. So this is going to be a lot of fun. The color piece you see off to the right is my initial study, where I kind of figure out how I'm going to handle the coloring, what colors I can use to accentuate shadows, and how I'm going to handle the light and things like that. Watercolor can often be a little less forgiving and challenging in that regard. So before I start doing a bigger piece, I'll often do a study just to kind of problem solve some of those areas before I have to do the final.
For the weekend painting jam, I brought along an angel warrior painting I had to do for a client. I did my underpainting in brown acrylics, like I do with most of my oil paintings. Once that was dry, then I was able to prep the surface with a thin layer of brown oil paint mixed with linseed oil. And since I spent most of my downtime filming the other artists and doing the interviews, I did hand the camera to Aaron Miller so he could film me a little bit.
But why are you rubbing this so gently?
Because I'm just toning the entire thing.
Oh, you're toning it?
Yeah, toning it with just
A
brown.
warm color?
A warm color.
A warm color?
Correct. There we go.
Wasn't it toned before with the acrylic? Or did you not put a... was that all white?
Yeah, it was all
Okay,
white. Yeah, it was
okay,
all
so
white.
now you're bringing it all together.
Yeah,
Killing the white.
killing the white.
So are those acrylics? Or those...
Oils.
So you have all those oils, and you used one so far.
So far. Give me time, Aaron.
So were you pre-mixing stuff? It looks like you've been painting for a while.
No, this is just a palette I already had. That I brought
Oh,
with
so
me.
those
This
are
is
all dry.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I did put down some new colors. I'm going to start working into it.
Okay, well that's a different story.
Okay.
That's not what, from here, that's not what the palette is telling me.
Okay. Oh, I see. The palette's telling you a story.
Yeah. Oh, you're actually getting some color on here. Is this how you do it? Is this how it works?
I'm not telling.
I'm not telling.
I'm not telling. I'm not doing anything any different than you were doing over there with the
Yeah, yours just looks better.
So I was using oil paints mixed with a little bit of linseed oil to rough in colors and just do a little bit of early stages of modeling with the paint. But I knew I'd only be able to get so far on this painting in those 3 days because my method of working with oils is a lot more glazing than it is doing wet on wet all in one session. Having a little bit of downtime was good because I was able to film the other guys. That was really my primary goal going down to this thing, was to talk with the other artists and film them so that I could share their work with all of you. After I got back home from the painting jam, and the painting had dried for about a week, I was able to work back into it again. What you're seeing here is an additional 2 or 3 passes on it, more detail work now, changing the colors. The painting is still not complete. It has a long way to go. I will be uploading another video soon that shows the creation of this painting. So consider this just a little preview.
I learned a new way to gesso some panels from my good friend Errol Jacobson. And instead of using a brush, I use a wallboard scraper. And you can get these at the hardware store. This is an adhesive spreader. It's got the little grooves in it. Can you see the grooves? And it'll make sense why I'm using that. You can use a regular one. Or you can even brush it on first really thick if you want, but this just makes it easier. Tub of gesso, acrylic, professional grade, because I'm a professional artist. So I'm putting some gesso on a 8x10 panel.
Okay.
This is just a 1/4 inch masonite. Doesn't have to be perfect. It makes it easier once you start using the scraper. And I just, it's sort of like icing a cake, I guess. So it'll give you a little texture if you want it, if you want that sort of large. If you paint with a palette knife, it can give you a palette knife-like effect if you want a little bit of that texture.
And so you said, talk about the benefits of doing it this way, because when I do it, I'm doing this thing in like 3-4 different coats, and you're essentially hammering this out in one coat, right?
Yep, just one. I'm going back and forth because I'm spreading out the gesso as evenly as I can so that I can just kind of get that one last final pass that I just feel comfortable with. And that I want to just leave it. Sometimes it goes faster, sometimes it's slower, sometimes there might be a little bit of something in the gesso or something, and you'll get a streak like that where it literally picks it all the way up.
Sand or some imperfection.
Yeah, and that's what you're trying to find. All right, and I'm just going to leave it like that. There's a tiny bit of a ridge, but I don't really mind. I like a little bit of, it gives it just a tiny bit of variety. If I put a fan on it, it'll be dry in about 10-15 minutes. We have a previously prepared gessoed panel, but I just wanted to show you that once it's done, I just use a block sander. I use a fine grit.
Okay.
Cool. And you just, when you're done, you just wash it off with water. And I'll just do a light sanding on my panel. And you can use your fingers. I mean, it's smooth to begin with, but this just makes it sexy smooth. And that's it. And makes it go pretty quick and smooth at the same time, and in one pass, and it's done.
So that's preparing a hardboard the Aaron Miller way.
It is, yes.